Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to I almost was going to say Thursday edition, but it's only Wednesday. Way to go. Wednesday edition of Sim's Chat Corner. Thanks so much for being so patient this week. I know it's been kind of a slow week, but with Easter coming up, I thought, well, what the hell, let's take a couple of days off. But now I'm obviously on air today and very excited to announce I'm going to be having my exclusive interview with Mr. Jiggley Jones in about 3 seconds here. So I just want to say a quick shout out right away to Michael Stover. Thanks so much for taking the time. As always, you're such a good sport, such a wonderful fellow for setting this up. So without further ado, since I see Jiggly's on the line holding, let's get him on here and let's get going with our interview.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Jiggley Jones. How are you?
I'm great, and I agree with what you're saying about Michael. So
you're listening in so you can hear me, right? I'm like,
yes, I will.
You got to give props. You got to give props to the promo people because, you know, they do what they need to do. And without him, I wouldn't have you right now. And if I didn't have you, I'd be pretty bummed. So
and you know what? I want to give you some props for the nice little write-up you did on me on your Facebook.
Oh.
I just noticed.
Oh.
So there you go.
Sweet. Well, see, this is what we do. We talk about you in such a wonderful light, and then we do the interview. I make you look 25,000 times better, and then you go off and you become a big star, and then you ignore me and say, I don't know who that girl was. I did some interview ages ago.
That'll never happen.
Well, thank you so much. And I am very nervous, so I'm going to try to not be nervous with this because I was looking at your website and looking at you and listening to your music and so powerful, so resonating. Oh my goodness gracious. You're a doll. I mean, you're a whiz. I mean, I'm really taken aback. So I've tried to come up with some really kick-ass questions. The first one, this has really been bothering me all day today, and I'm like, I got to ask this guy right off the bat.
I know what it is.
You know what I'm going to ask. Let me see. How long have you been married?
Oh, married?
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say
married.
get the name at.
Well, that's coming, but I figured I'll surprise you.
I think it's somewhere around 12 years or so, 13, something like that.
Oh, goodness gracious. Good for you. Now, is your lady love in your occupational area, meaning obviously, of course, musician or writer or any of those things?
No, she's not. Not at all. She just happened to be my next-door neighbor growing up, so how neat is that?
Oh, how romantic. Oh, we're having a moment on Sim's Chat Corner. This is like the Notebook Revisited. How cool. Well, congrats on that one. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my musicians here in Milwaukee are a little bit flaky, so we're kind of like, we don't deal
right.
with musicians. They're all a little, they're a different brand. They run differently.
Yes, we are.
Yes, you definitely are. Now, obviously, of course, you open the floodgates, so I have to ask, I assume that Jiggley Jones is your real name, or is this a stage name?
Well, I think everybody could guess on that one. It's not my real name, but my real name is really boring, so I figured I needed to catch some eyes before I caught their ears, and it's been a nickname of mine for probably like maybe 17 years or so. I was in a band up in New York, and for some reason that name or that word was being kicked around in a group of people. We were sitting down having a little party or whatever, and I got stuck with it, and everybody there thought it was funny, and from that point on, in that circle of friends that I had, I was known as Jiggley. So when I started this project, I thought, why not use my nickname? It's a lot more catchier than Brian, so there you go.
Oh my God, how funny is that? That is so cute, actually. Because I was thinking to myself, because I'm an artist, so I wear bangles all the time. So I'm like, I'm jiggling all the time. So I'm thinking, is this like a coin thing? Is he like walking around with coins in his pocket or something?
No, I still don't know why we came up with that word. I can't remember why. It just seemed to make everybody laugh, so I stuck with it.
Yeah, no kidding. I've been laughing all day. I'm like telling people, who are you interviewing today? Jiggley? Yeah, don't ask because I don't really know yet. I'm like, I'll find out later, right?
Well, maybe that'll be the reason they remember then, right?
There you go. That's exactly right. We're hoping to get that name on the map, hopefully.
Right.
I wanted to ask maybe if you could let the listeners know how you enveloped into becoming the musician that you are, meaning let's go back, let's step a ways back, and let's say where you first began. Tell us a little bit. Here you are, a little child, and you're at home, and are we just banging on all sorts of things at home and realizing, we want to be a musician? Or how did all this come about?
Well, there was a big gap between the time as a child, I started playing an instrument, which happened to be the clarinet, because my parents wouldn't let me play the drums. And ironically, my younger brother ended up playing the drums a few years later, so, he's the spoiled baby, I guess, so. But yeah, and fourth and fifth grade, sixth grade, that kind of thing. So I learned, the idea of music and how to play it as far as reading music and things. But then there's a big gap after I stopped doing that till I became a teenager. And everybody that's a teenager loves music. That's the biggest record buying public percentage or whatever for a reason. And I started playing the bass guitar, and that's what I did for 6-7 years. I was a bass guitar player in numerous cover bands in the area and this and that. I branched out into original music. It got to the point where I got fed up with dealing with different things, and I decided to try songwriting myself. To that point, I didn't realize I could actually do it. So once I realized I could, that's what I did from then on out. This particular project, Jiggley Jones, is only 5 years old. Everything I did before that was, different kinds of music and this and that. But this brings me back to my roots. The other bands I was in, it was more of a collaboration. This is more me and me alone as far as the style of music and things like that. So.
Right, definitely. Now, I wanted to ask you, because obviously, of course, when you're first starting out, did you find it easier for yourself personally to compose the music, or was it easier for you to actually create the music, meaning musically?
Compose it meaning what, writing it down kind of thing? Or?
Correct. Writing as compared to actually playing music. Some people have naturally just say, yeah, I'm better at this. Everything
I do writing-wise is done on some kind of recording setup. I don't actually read music. There's no sheet music. There's nothing like that is written down except for the lyrics. I usually start with an acoustic guitar and come up with some kind of chord progression, and then I put like a scat melody over top of that, and then I actually do the lyrics last. However, the song is making me feel. That's sort of the way the lyrics, the direction the lyrics head in. So the emotion of the music is already placed down. And then the lyrics come at the end when I'm feeling that emotion, and it reminds me of certain things. But back to the question, I think you're asking, what do I like better?
I think personally, let's say when you first started out, because we all know that obviously the musician you are right now is not what you were back, when you were a much younger person. So back then, sometimes you can get a feel for it. Like I knew at age 12 I was going to be a writer, and this is what I wanted, and I didn't care if I, did this, that, or the other thing. It just had to be writing. So I guess for you, was there that that one thing right off the bat where you thought, I'm really good at this, and I'm going to do well at this?
Yeah, that's the whole key. I mean, you have to have a confidence in yourself to gain perseverance, and in this business, you need perseverance more than anything. You get ripped apart by people, friends, family, strangers constantly. Some of them that don't understand the process, some of them that say you're crazy for even pursuing it, no matter how good you are or whatever. So you have to believe in yourself. And there was a time, like I said, that I didn't know I could actually write music. I was a bass player. Obviously I loved music at that time. And I tried it. I started playing the guitar a little bit, got a little bit better at it, and started writing a few songs. And then I was like, wow, I can actually do this, I think. So, yeah, there was a defining moment, I would say.
Sure. Now, do you feel, and this is just a personal question here in terms of if you were to look at your career, which one, are you pulling for one or the other, meaning Jiggley Jones, somewhere at some point in the line is going to be happier saying, yes, I'm a successful songwriter or I'm a successful musician?
I would go the songwriter route.
Really?
I would like to be recognized as a songwriter first, maybe a vocalist second. As far as playing instruments and things like that, that's not as important to me. They're just tools that I use to create the song itself. So if I'm recognized at all, it would be as a songwriter. That would be my thing.
Perfect. Awesome. That's wonderful. Now, I must tell you this before I go on in the interview. You look much scarier than how you sound. Because part of the reason I was so nervous is I looked at you and I'm like, oh, my God, he's just making me nervous looking at him. You have that presence, by the way. You're kind of like that gruff-looking sort of, I was like, I don't even know what the hell to expect when he comes on my show. You're so much nicer.
Well, I'm a hillbilly at heart, so the picture sort of shows that side of me as far as being from the country and this and that. But I guess I consider myself to be a nice guy. I try to be. I'm a father, so I have to
Right.
be careful about what I become in their eyes. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, now it's my understanding that obviously pre-musician days, we all obviously before we got into our chosen career usually have a different occupation, and I know that you found some of your time spent in the public relations field, which I thought was unusual.
That was a brief period of time actually, and I was totally in the dark about that. That happened to be a company in Los Angeles that was interested in possibly managing me at the time. But they weren't quite ready to sign me on, so I actually just decided to become an office worker for them, and got to see firsthand how that side of the business worked. I'm not saying that I'm good at that. That's for sure. I'm certainly not I'm no Michael Stover. That's for sure.
Well, I was just going to throw that out there and say that too. Wow.
Yeah.
You love Michael Stover on this program.
Yeah, I struggle with that more than anything. I'm sort of on the shy side when it comes to my social bearing and things. So like I said, I consider myself a songwriter, and that's my concentration. But I learned a few things. I met a few people out there. It was really cool while it lasted. It ended within 6 months because I ended up signing with a manager in London, England. So I moved back to the East Coast. And that was that.
Gotcha. Now, do you find it, and obviously you're saying your admitted shyness there, do you think you'll be able to get over this? Because the reality is, I think we both know if you become the successful, quote-unquote, rock star, you're going to be in people's faces all the time. Is that going to be okay with you? Is that going to max your, is it going to, like, freak out your personality? Like, I don't know if I can do this.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe when I was younger, but the name of my EP is No Spring Chicken, so I have a few years of dealing with people in general under my belt, but I don't know. That would be to vault into that category as far as being recognized by people. I haven't dealt with that, so
sure.
Obviously you don't know how you're going to deal with it. But I'm willing to try, and I'm not short. I'm never short on words, so it's something that I would take one day at a time, like anything else.
Oh, certainly, definitely. And now I know that you had indicated that you were only in that PR area for a short amount of time, but do you think that you took anything from that time that's helped you as far as the musical side of things? Did it teach you anything or enhance things for you in any way?
I think everything I've done so far has, even if it wasn't musical, if it was business related over the years, music has become a business, and that's, I'm aware of that. And maybe that's the one thing that I did learn out there was how business-related everything was. And,
sure.
If you had somebody in your corner, it really helps. I mean, even if you're not the most talented person, if you're pushing forward and you have somebody that believes in you, the business side it takes over, and maybe you can become something eventually. It was cool because I got to talk to some people on the phone that were big time. Will Rogers Jr. was one of the people that I talked to. He was I'm sure a lot of people know who he was. He was actually one of our clients had done a ghost town documentary, and he was the narrator in that. So I talked to him a few times on the phone, and that was really neat,
Sure.
Among others.
What a cool experience. You got a hell of a job. Just going to say that. I've always said that about musicians. I'm like, you get to do what you love. You get to meet really, really cool people. Not unlike my job, of course, because I have the coolest people in the world on my show. But it's neat, isn't it? It's just a neat experience, I think. It is really, really cool.
It is, but a lot of people don't realize there's also a lot of stress involved in it. You have, especially if you're very goal-oriented, like I am, I stress myself out if I'm not achieving these goals at the pace that I want to. I guess most people create their own stress, but I'm one of those people, and the public doesn't really see that. I imagine that's why a lot of musicians drink and have troubles dealing with things. It's a stressful thing. It just is, and it's hard to explain unless you do it. Especially the creative side of things. It's just you have to put yourself into a whole different mindset, and I personally can't do the creative side and do the touring kind of thing at the same time. It's just I have to focus on one thing at a time. So
No, I know exactly what you mean. And it is tough because I'm doing both. I've got the double-edged sword here. I'm sitting here marketing and sales and, of course, finding my own people to come on my show. Most of the time, it takes a unique person to handle all of that. So kudos to the fact that you're managing very well, you're being managed very well, and you present yourself very well. Michael surrounds himself. Michael really does find the most unique clients who bring to the table such immense talent, and I'm just never disappointed. I always know that when I'm going to have someone on, they're going to be terrific. So you're doing absolutely wonderful. You're making me a little nervous still, but that's okay. We're working on it. Now, I know that you've had the distinct honor of working with Terry Wendt, who I know has obviously collaborated with the beautiful, talented Shania Twain.
Right.
Now, I don't know if you know this or not. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, that's fine. You're the guest.
I was just going to say he's actually a good friend of mine. We've become good friends, and
really.
And I talk to him, once in a while, every couple months or so, and yeah, he's a really good guy.
I wanted to ask about that, as a matter of fact, the relationship. Now, first of all, I want to preface this off on how ironic is this, because not so long ago, somebody had told me that I actually bear a likeness to Shania Twain herself, which is one hell of a compliment, let me tell you, because she's there's just no saying it. I mean, she's a doll. I'm like, wow. Okay, now if we could just get my likeness on my show, I think we'd be a lot happier, but okay. I wanted to address this. For you personally, how do you feel that Terry's guidance and partnership with you in regard of creating music has more finely tuned your product or made it better?
Once again, I mean, that was one of a million experiences that have formed who I am musically. Terry brought to the table the Nashville thing. That's where he's from, and that's where I was when we got together. And he actually took me out to Music Row and showed me the town. And he took me to a Time Jumper show. If you don't know who they are, that's Vince Gill. He has like a side project, and it's a bunch of guys and a woman who have been backup players for famous people like Mel Tillis and stuff, and they're unbelievable. Matter of fact, my family and I went to see them about a month ago up near where I live. But I mean, that was just a surreal thing, just sitting 5 feet from Vince Gill in this bar, basically, and these guys are just wailing away. It was amazing. It was something I've never experienced before, but I probably took more out of that particular night than any of the other things that me and Terry did. We're actually still sitting on some music that hasn't been released yet. It's unfinished. It's sitting down in his place right now. So.
Oh my goodness! Really? How cool is that? See, that's neat.
Hopefully we'll finish it.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll be crossing my fingers like, okay, what's he going to be doing here? Speaking of one facet of you that I found is just overwhelmingly impressive to me is that you have either written and or assisted in the creation of over 100 songs thus far during your career. I can't even imagine developing such an immense amount of songs. I mean, that just sounds huge to me. And as a writer myself, I know that I fear at times that what I call the quote-unquote creative well will one day dry up. Do you ever have that same concern about yourself? Do you ever think, what if it just goes away one day? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. When you pick up the guitar that day, you're thinking, can I still play this thing? And it's like riding a bike, though. And I'm sure you can relate to this. It's just, I feel like I'm repeating myself. That's my biggest fear. Like, so, most of those songs people haven't even heard yet, hopefully. And as a human being, you're only influenced by so much in your life, so you're only going to have your own niche. And 100 songs, by the 25th or 30th song, you feel like you might be repeating yourself a little bit in places,
Mm-hmm.
But that's stretched out over the years. So as you get older, your musical loves change. I mean, when I was younger, I liked heavier music, and back when I was really young, I listened to classic rock and things like that. So depending on the way the music industry has changed, everybody relates to music as 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s music for a reason. That styles change and they follow trends and things, and if you're on the tip, you pay attention to that, and it can influence you.
Definitely. Now, if I were to ask you, were there maybe one or two primary themes behind this collection of musical magic? Meaning, obviously, of course, 100 songs I know is a lot, but do you find yourself primarily sticking to one or two themes, or like obviously, I hear some writers say to me, I typically try to keep to one subject, meaning it's love or it's about my family. Or
Right.
were there those primal themes for you?
Once again, that changes with time. Right now, this project in particular, I try to generalize with my lyrics. There's very few times that I get specific and write a song about a specific thing, because I think the listener likes to take the music and the lyrics and put that into their own life, and I'm trying to make it a little easier for them. It's mainly about life itself, different emotions, things like that. For example, the first single off the EP, Baby Blue, that was inspired by the birth of my son, but the song wasn't written specifically about him. It's about young children and what kind of joy they can bring to you. And people, obviously, there's millions and millions of people who feel that way, that have kids and understand that. It's almost like a lullaby in a way.
Definitely. I would agree with that. Also, do you ever find that you have moments where you question the quality of the words that you've composed and maybe just take a whole piece and just trash it and say, you know what, we're not even using this, we're starting all over?
Absolutely. Like I said, the creative side, like I said, is very stressful for me. It's just because of that. I'm very hard on myself. I've trashed lyrics, I've trashed musical parts, melodies, harmonies, everything. I got a song right now. I think I've written it and rewritten it maybe 5 times. It had 5 different names and 5 different sets of lyrics, and so, and I'm still not done with it yet. I sort of put it on the back burner for now, but
Sure.
It just has such a nice sound to the progression that I don't want to throw it out the door, but it's consumed a lot of my time. But yeah,
I imagine.
Definitely yes on your question.
Okay. Well, and of course, the one curiosity question that I keep here is, if I were to ask you right now, and this could be in your own genre or otherwise, if I were to say to you, who's had the most profound impact on you, meaning from a songwriting perspective and the music you've listened to or are a fan of, who's that number one person that just speaks to you lyrically?
That's the $1,000,000 question, and I've been asked that a lot. So I've had time to think about it and narrow it down to, I would say, Neil Young. He's just somebody I never, ever get tired of hearing. He's unique in it. He's definitely his own person, his own sound. And it's sort of in the same genre that I grew up listening to from a very young age. So I would say Neil Young. I mean, I could add James Taylor in there and a million other people. I've always said that, musical influence comes in every single thing that you hear, whether it's a commercial, anything influences you musically. So I listen to Mozart. I like heavier music. I'm a big Zeppelin fan from back in the day. I like more modern heavy stuff. Country music, I love it. It goes on and on. But I would say if there's one particular songwriter, it would be Neil Young.
Okay. That's kind of what I figured as much, but I thought, well, it never hurts to ask. Although I thought that question was original, but heck no. Apparently everybody else has asked that one, so let's see. We'll try a different one here. I know in the past that some of your prior performances have been not only in Pennsylvania, but as you mentioned, as well as in New York. First of all, I wanted to ask you, and I think I might know this might be a no-brainer, but competition-wise, because I think we all know in each one of our fields, musically or otherwise, there can sometimes be a huge level of competition. Do you find that in Pennsylvania as compared to New York, that varies?
2 different beasts, basically. New York is set up for entertainers. You come into New York and you're an entertainer or you're not. In Philadelphia, there's it's also a very big town for music, but it's more saturated with bands that from cover bands to anything. It's believe it or not, I've had a better and easier time in New York City getting a following and getting gigs and things like that than Philadelphia. It just seems like Philly is so saturated with, I don't know, maybe it's because they don't have as many clubs, venues to offer. But it's a real competition in the Philly area, especially I believe. New York's more of a national market.
Right.
If you're a cover band, you're not going to drive into Manhattan and play unless you're like some really big band that plays at the big motels and hotels and things like that.
Sure.
New York's more of an all original setup. Philadelphia has all that stuff, so you're fighting and scrapping to get in.
Yeah, I guess I never would have thought about that way, because I was like, I was actually just in New York 3 weeks ago, as a matter of fact, and I just checked out a couple bands, and I thought to myself, oh my God, what a beautiful forum. I was at Gramercy Theater, and they had Rubik's Cube, which is an 80s band that was playing there. I thought, they have such amazing venues there. In fact, I should ask you that now that I know. I know the gentleman who runs Webster Hall. Have you been to Webster Hall in New York?
Yes, I have.
That's the big nightclub there. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, I could totally see this guy playing. I could see you playing Webster Hall. We need to get you to play Webster Hall. I'm going to bring this up to Michael.
That would be great.
Webster Hall would be a cool thing. I have to ask now, just collectively over the year, if you could describe for us now, how often is your time spent in Pennsylvania as compared to New York? Are you kind of doing the dual role here, or how is your time mostly spent?
The New York thing was a few years back, mainly. The band that I was in at the time, where Jiggley came up, that was a New York band, so I spent a good 3 years playing in nowhere but New York. But I would say most of the time I'm in Pennsylvania right now. Obviously, we want to branch out and get going in a national sense, but I'm close enough to the Maryland border and the Delaware border that I play in Wilmington, Delaware sometimes. So, and I could even shoot over to New Jersey within an hour and a half drive. So that area of those 4 states is mainly where I'm focused right now. So,
Gotcha. Perfectly understandable. Now, another question for you. Now, I know obviously that you play professionally, but are there still occasions where you get a chance to participate? And obviously, of course, here in Milwaukee, we call them open jams, which I presume you do there. Do you ever just get to go out and kind of open jam at a bar, just show up someplace with a guitar and sit down and just say, I'm sitting in?
Well, funny you should say that, because right now it seems more than ever open mic nights are really popular.
I know.
Mean, there's actually websites that you can go to tell you where the open mics are in your area, what time they are, this, that, and the other. And I've done tons of open mics over the last 3 years or so. And it's more difficult than you would think. I'm the kind of guy who needs to warm up and know what time I'm playing and be prepared. And you go to those and you don't know where you're going to play, and everybody's in a hurry, so they rush you up there. You do 2-3 songs and you're off. So it's like this blur. You went down there, you sat for an hour, and then you played 3 songs, and then you're done. It's like they kick you right off the stage, but it's neat because there always seems to be a good crowd because everybody wants to be heard, and it's sort of fun if you have the time to do that.
Sure, I bet. And of course, I logically could see you doing that just because of your actual physical presence. Just looking at you, I think to myself, he fits in perfectly. Like with my friends, you can just tell they got the right hat, they got the right look. They just kind of plop their books down there and say, let's just play whatever comes to mind. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be any genre of music. They just love their playing so much. That's why I love the concept of open jam. It's playing whenever you want and just it's just so much fun. I really do. Now, this is a very important question. I've asked this before, so maybe you can help me with this one.
Okay.
I want to know what it's going to take to get Michael Stover to play. I'd like him to play with you. I'd like him to play with any of his artists. What do we have to do to get your publicist to perform? Have you seen him perform?
No, I haven't, but he says, and I listened to him in an interview a couple of weeks ago, he says he loves playing. He just doesn't have time, and I could believe that because he is a workaholic, and he's always doing his job, and I can understand why he doesn't have the time to do it. I think he did play with his I think his name is Xander Demas. He's like a shredder guitar player. I think he did at least do one track on the drums with him that I know of. I'm just going by what I heard in the interview. So, and I know Michael has a pass at playing in bands and things, so I'm sure he misses that to a point. But he loves his job as a manager, and sure, I mean, he can sit in with me anytime he wants. He's all the way over in Pittsburgh, though. So.
Exactly. I was going to say, it's worth making a trip, buddy. And by the way, thanks for squealing on him because now he's in trouble because he hasn't been on Sin's Chat Corner yet. Ouch.
Oh, okay. Well, he's a good talker, so.
Yeah, he is, actually.
Yeah.
I think I got a good shot at him, so we'll have to see, definitely. Now, truthfully, I have to give you my impressions because obviously I have sat and listened to your music. And so your music, to me, screams of a combination of two people, one of which you hit right on the head, which is, of course, Bob Dylan is one of them.
Okay.
Or no, you said Neil Young. That's right. See, I say Bob Dylan.
I
I
think Michael said
similar.
Bob Dylan.
Okay,
In the little bio that he wrote up when I first signed with him, I think Bob Dylan. I think he said Tom Petty and Bob Dylan. So.
And I definitely do hear the Bob Dylan part. I definitely do. Just in listening.
Okay.
Before I even listen to the bio, I usually listen to the music. So I got that one. Now, this one you may not recognize as much, but you do remind me of an older version of Rob Thomas. Rob Thomas being of Matchbox 20, who I have a great adoration for. I love his voice. I think it's just amazing. I see a combination of the two. Hopefully you do. Otherwise, I sound like a dumbass.
I'm the last person to ask what I sound like. Over the years, I have been compared to so many different singers. It's unbelievable, and everybody, I guess, has their different idea of why that is. If you asked me to compare myself to anybody, I'd be stuck.
Really?
It's just like listening to your own voice on your answering machine or something. You don't like to hear it as much as you have to. So. I've David Bowie a million times. People have said that. On and on and on. Different things. Even Axl Rose, believe it or not.
Wow.
Been a name that's come up more than once. So yeah, I guess that's a good thing. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse to be compared to so many different people, but I'll take whatever people are saying.
I was going to say, and if they're highly known, I'd say, oh, yeah, that's quite the compliment. So kudos to you.
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Terrific. And, of course,
Bob Dylan,
how much higher do you get than that, right?
Right. That's an icon for sure, so.
I tried, I really did try. I was like, okay, you got to be really accurate and on point with this. And I listened and I re-listened, and I'm like, yeah, it's there. But that, again, that's me. I'm not a music, professional, but that's just my 2 cents on it. And to me, it comes. Well, thank you. For me personally, it comes as no surprise that your music has found its way to both, obviously, TV and film soundtracks, in case people did not know that, which we're going to get into. So before talking about those particular projects, in your opinion, would it be fair to classify your music style, and this is, again, what I get out of it is I'd call it soft rock, but my guess is that you're probably going to veer towards country. So I'm just curious to find out what you classify your musical style as and why you feel that as such.
Well, it's funny because now they have a genre called alt country, alternative country, and that pretty much covers both of those, rock and country. Back in the day, they used to call some of that stuff southern rock. It's really good that nowadays country music is branching out to different types of stuff, and it's perfect for me because that's sort of, I'm certainly not straight country. I'm left of center when it comes to that. I do have a rock background, so that influence is going to be there, but I would say the Americana push these days it seems to be the genre that I'm being pushed in myself, and that's becoming real popular with bands like the Lumineers and Mumford and Sons, and it's almost like perfect timing that's opening up. So I don't care how people classify me as long as they like it. It's more of an industry thing to be placed in a certain category. So wherever they want to place me, I'm fine with that. And right now it's Americana, so I'm going to run with that.
Cool. Definitely. Interested to also ask this question, too. Is there a particular genre you haven't tried that you think you might explore somewhere down the line?
Well, I'm not good enough to play classical music like Beethoven. But
okay.
I listen to that stuff a lot. I'm a big-time Mozart fan. I'm not embarrassed to say that, but I know that might sound corny or whatever, but I don't know. Over the years, I've covered a lot of different genres. Like I said, when I was in New York, I played heavier rock music, something along the lines of maybe like the Red Hot Chili Peppers or something like that, more aggressive stuff.
Okay.
Before that or between that and now, I did other things that might have been considered soft rock. And now I'm going back to my roots, and that's more of something that's more Americanized-ish in the countryside, but maybe a little different. So I don't know if there's anything left I would want to get into, unless somebody steered me in that direction or whatever.
Sure, I understand. Okay, I want to talk a little bit, of course, we'll start with your television projects, because I know that there are at least 2 shows that your music has been presented on, one of which being the Dennis Rodman Show, and the other, of course, being a reality project called Road Rules. And they probably, of course, served as a platform to your music. Excited to say that, of course. Now, the listeners may be interested to know how an artist such as yourself achieves a feat such as this, meaning somebody just make a random phone call one day. What's the process involved with getting your music onto television?
There's a bunch of different ways, just like everything else. But you know what? The saying about it's who you know, that's probably the most important thing. Now, how you get to know these people is sometimes difficult. It's just like getting any job on the street. If you knew somebody that worked at a certain place, there's your in. In this case, with the MTV stuff, the drummer in the band happened to be friends with somebody who worked for MTV, and she was involved in the soundtrack projects, and that's where we ended up. This was the band in New York that I was talking about. So we were actually background music in these shows. The other one was Cindy Crawford. She had a fashion show called House of Style. That was another one that we were involved with. But that was a while back. That was before Jiggley Jones came about, and that was a whole different kind of music. You know, MTV doesn't seem to be as accessible anymore. It's branched out into a bunch of different things, especially musically. But
I know.
So that's how we hooked up with that.
And whatever happened to MTV, because I always say that to myself, I'm like, they used to hail being the music video king of the world, you know what I mean, where you'd always be able to check out videos, and I'm like, what happened to the videos? This is supposed to be music television, right? I'm like, where is all this, you know?
I think the M means something else now. I don't know what, but it's not music, that's for sure.
That's exactly right. It means like reality. Reality TV has become like the king and queen nowadays, you know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
No,
and you know,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I had to say, at least MTV was the tip of the spear, so that was good for them, you know, as far as getting things rolling. So you can't say too much bad about them if you're a musician.
Okay, I gotcha. Now, of course, obviously, because of the regular average person doesn't know this either. Now, you've got your music into the show. Does that mean that you record the music and send it to them, or do you actually get a chance to meet these people? Like, for instance, Dennis Rodman show. So yeah, we went there, blah blah blah. People are always curious about that kind of stuff.
No, we never met any of those people. This was music that was already recorded that they just took pieces of. We actually had a demo that was, I don't know, 6 or 7 songs or so, and they would just take pieces out. And, you know, for me, I was the vocalist in the band, and my voice was never in that. They always used just the music part. If you ever listen to the background music, normally the vocals aren't there. I guess it takes away from the people that are talking in the show and things like that. So, but I was just as proud as the rest of the guys, because I was playing with a group of really great musicians at the time. As a matter of fact, the bass player in that band is now my co-producer on my latest EP. He lives in L.A., Chris Tristram. So. Yeah, he's an incredible bass player, and that particular band that I played in up in New York was just one of my favorite bands that I ever played in. They just were such great players, and that's probably one of the reasons they picked this for the soundtrack stuff. So.
Oh, I imagine. Now, do you foresee in the future for yourself producing for television in the future? Do you think that's something that you might embark upon again?
I'll go in whatever direction people want to hear me. You know, music is music, and if it's your own, the more people that hear it, and no matter what the reason, the better. So, you know, I'm open for any of that stuff. If someone wants to use it for anything like that, just ask me or ask Michael.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I was just going to say, so I'm putting my plug in now. So I live in Wisconsin, and you don't, so I think we need to make a request that you come here. Just because I want to see you sing in person, so I can sit there and not be afraid of you in person. I love it when people come and visit, and I love when they bring their talent and they bring their musicians. It's awesome.
That's great. Yeah, there's no reason for you to fear me, that's for sure.
Okay, well, we'll find out, buddy. I haven't met you yet, so
I'm just a regular old guy. So
exactly. Now, are there any other shows that I missed television-wise? I know there were the 3 that we prefaced. Any place else that somebody might be able to catch you television-wise where your music has been used?
Not really. Not yet, I should say. That same band, that was the band that I had most of the stuff done for soundtrack. Actually, all the soundtrack stuff I did was through that band, and we actually were in a B movie too, where we actually did get to go and meet the director of that movie. We actually hung out at his place and watched the movie, and had a good time, and met one of the actresses and stuff, and that was pretty cool. As far as anybody hearing it now, the only thing that you'll be hearing me on right now is YouTube. So this project is up and coming, so it's not, I would say, established nationally yet, which is the exciting thing about it. It's really coming, especially since I signed with Michael. It's really moved on like tenfold. So the airplay is coming now, internet airplay especially. I'm starting to move up certain charts and things, so it's really starting to take off, and all that other stuff that you've mentioned hopefully will be in the future. I look forward to it.
Yes, and I didn't want to forget about this, obviously, because additionally I know that your music has also been in a feature film by the name of Tainted Love, and I know that they had utilized some of your work as well. As far as this being a feature film, like say for instance, obviously we know with TV and reality TV you've got background music. Now, as far as on the film side of things, what type of music was utilized for this particular film?
The one you're talking about, Tainted?
Yeah, Tainted Love.
That was the same band. It was aggressive rock, I would say. And that movie was about, it was a murder mystery kind of thing, a love affair kind of thing that went wrong. It was an interesting experience. Like I said, we went to the director's house and watched the movie. Until then, we had no idea where the music was going to be placed or anything. So that was really cool. We just sat there, watched the movie like anybody else would, and said, "Wait a minute, there we are," or "Here we are." And I guess I can say this, but it's a true story. One of the first song that came up that was us was during the lovemaking scene of the movie, which was sort of really funny. Yeah. And then we got to meet the actress that was involved in that when we were leaving. She showed up at the apartment, and it was like sort of embarrassing because we just saw her like half naked, in the movie.
Oh
so,
my goodness gracious!
Yeah. I mean, we were more proud of that, I think, than anything that he chose part of one of our songs to play during that. So.
Oh my God!
Hopefully, there's no kids listening. So.
Yeah, no, not at present. Thank you very much. But my teenager might, so now I got to censor my show. Thanks a lot, buddy. I'm going to guess that you didn't get an Oscar or Grammy off of that one, because I was really crossing my fingers thinking he's going to tell me I got an Oscar for that win or for that music.
No. That was that movie sort of got lost in the shuffle. I think it was more released in Europe than anywhere.
Darn it.
I think the director's name was Michael Ross. I'm not sure what he's done since then, but that, like I said, that was a while ago. It was a whole other musical style, and there was a lot happening with that band. I got a lot of experience with that band, and this is a whole new thing, a whole new direction, and like I said, the fun part is it's just starting to take off. So
cool. Very, very cool. And I gather if individuals wanted to check out the movie with your music in it, I'm guessing because it's older at this point, they're going to have to go to the internet to try to find it. If that's a bad
Yeah, I imagine so.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, just double checking. Wanted to throw that little pump out there for them. Okay, word on the street is, and this is what I hear, that your debut album, No Spring Chicken, which means that I'm guessing you're 35, hails quite the potpourri of variety musically, namely the 4 songs being Baby Blue, Welcome Home, Ain't That All Right, and Christmas 365. So I got a couple different questions. First of all, maybe enlighten us as far as the actual eventual completion time for the EP from start to finish. Was it a elongated process, or was this relatively quick for you?
Well, it took a while because since I'm a solo artist, I had to accumulate session players and line up. I was almost like an executive producer too. Like I had to line up everybody, what times to be there, how to do this, how to do that, and then sit down with them and work over parts and things. So it did take a while, and then once it was done, the funny thing, because of this amazing digital era that we live in, this record was recorded in 2 separate parts of the country, 3,000 miles apart, and everything was sent via website files, website attachments to my friend who has a studio in L.A., he did the drums and the bass out there. I don't have the facilities to mic up drums, studio drums here. Once that was done, he sent it back to me, and I did all the melodic instruments and the vocals back here in Pennsylvania. And then I sent it all back to him again, and he mixed it out there, and he got it mastered out there, and sent it all back to me again. So, you know, all that process takes, 15 minutes to send it, and it's out there already. So it's an amazing thing, the digital world. Yeah, so the recording took a while. I would say, let's see, September, maybe 5 months. And then the mix and stuff took another month or so, let's say, because he had other projects to work on and things. So let's say it's 6 months total to record it. Now, the songs were written probably 6 months before I started recording. So if you add that in there, you're talking about a year, maybe a little over a year before it came to completion.
Wow. Okay, gotcha. I want to give people a feel or a sense for that because obviously every person works within their own time frame or constraints, rather, depending on how many people you got involved. With this being your initial debut EP, more complex for you, meaning that you're, you know, some people strive to that huge level of perfection where it has to be just right the first time. So did you just find it to be more complex work for you in that, or did you find, okay, fine, I mean, it's 4 songs, you know, easier or harder for you?
Yeah. I would say a little harder because I had to get used to the Pro Tools program that was recorded. It was all new to me. That was the hardest part for me was trying to figure out the technical side of it.
Sure.
As far as arranging the music and layering it and producing it, and that's what I do, and that's what I've done for years. So that's the part I think I love the most is the actual layering of the music, sitting down with, say, a piano player and saying, this is what I want here, and being excited to hear what he actually, how he interpreted that and stuff. So, yeah, I wouldn't say it was any harder than I've done before, because that's what I really love the most, is that particular part of it all.
Gotcha. And now, interesting question again. It seems a little odd to me, maybe it's just me. You know, Christmas 365, yeah. I can see where that blends in with the rest of it. I was kind of like,
right.
Is it weird?
Well, that was a timing
seem
thing.
Like weird?
That was a timing thing that I tried to time the record to be released right before Christmas, so that was going to work out. Now I was going to do the Christmas song as a single, but then as far as financially, it was cheaper for me to put it all on the same record instead of having them all cut and artwork done for them. And it worked out as far as the timing goes. And the song itself is about the idea of Christmas being such a fabulous time for people, the great memories, that why can't we just continue with that attitude 365 days a year? You know, so I thought, well, if I got to play that song out live in July, why not? Because the song's about the idea of creating that nice feeling that you get from Christmas throughout the year. And I still play it live. I'm not saying I'm going to play it all year, but you know, it's a song that doesn't necessarily sound like your standard Christmas song, so it goes over well.
Okay, gotcha. I just found that kind of quirky. I was like, doesn't that seem a little strange to anybody that we've got a little Christmas mix there? And then it got me to thinking, like, okay, on his next EP, is he going to do something for, like, Thanksgiving or Easter? And I'm like, maybe that'll be his MO now. He'll be the guy that has that song.
I have an Easter single coming out this week, right?
There you go. That's right before Sunday, so hurry up, folks, or it'll run out. Oh, by the way, congratulations. Just want to throw out there that the recent collaboration with, of course, the legendary Bill Wentz, which is a radio promoter, so kudos and congratulations on that, because I'm certain that's going to definitely push your career forward threefold, I would say. That's awesome.
He's the guy that's trying to procure the radio airplay for me, and he's doing a great job. He's from Nashville, and right now I think we have 14 stations around the country that are playing that I'm in their rotation. So, and we just started with this, so it's still just getting off the ground. Yeah.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Welcome Home. I believe that this is the brand spanking new compilation that you have. 2 questions. If you could maybe summarize for me the meaning behind this song And second of all, we need to know, obviously, where we can get a copy of that, or can we get a copy of it as of yet?
Yes. Anything you need to know about me or the music itself as far as purchasing it through iTunes and things like that, you can go to jigglyjones.com and do that. Anything you need to know as far as Facebook, you can branch out from there. You can stream the music on SoundCloud, this, that, and the other. But Welcome Home, that song is another song that's based off of a feeling that you get when you come home. I mean, we always say that in my family. I mean, it's great to be home, even if you're out for 2 hours. And you know, it encompasses the idea of maybe a soldier coming home from a tour of duty. That's got to be an unbelievable feeling to welcome someone home from being away like that.
Right.
So you know, that's one idea, but it's just the idea that, and once again, it's a general idea that people can relate to. That if they hear the lyrics, they can say, "Wait a minute, that's how I feel," you know. And it's just one of those things that it's a great feeling to come home. You know, if you've been, say, on vacation in a strange place, you come home. The vacation was nice, but guess what? There's no place like home. So.
Exactly right. I couldn't agree more with you on that one. Now, I do know that your next show, obviously, as far as I know, is April 12th, and that's going to be at the Rusty Nail, which is located in Ardmore, Pennsylvania.
Right.
So, what other exciting ventures do you think your future will hold? I mean, obviously, I know you've got another gig coming up beyond that, but plans for the next 6 months to a year. If you've got fans listening, individuals that want to see you, what's the best way to do so or to track you down in lieu of a fan club?
Well, like I said, the hub of all the information is the website jigglyjones.com. As far as the future goes, a lot of it hinges on the airplay that we're trying to get. Anytime you have a tour set up, a lot of it it coincides with the radio play that you get. So maybe a certain region of the country will have a lot of interest, and that's where you would head to. Obviously, that's what I'd like to see happen. There's a few things that I'm hoping for that are bigger, and one of them is the Americana Music Association Festival that they have in September down in Nashville, which we're hoping to get a slot in that. There's a Philadelphia Folk Festival that we're hoping for. That's in August. You know, in the meantime, I'm just sort of tuning up and playing locally as much as I can, which really hasn't taken off yet. We're just starting to get that rolling. So hopefully by the end of June or so, there'll be enough interest as far as the radio airplay to get things rolling from there. So that's the exciting thing, like I was saying. You don't know what's around the next corner, but it's really neat now because everything's out there and starting to move. You're not developing the project anymore. You're actually putting it out there for people to hear and seeing where they take it from there. So.
Definitely. I hear you. Now, before I forget, because I always want to make a point of doing this, I'm going to run through these, so please, when I'm finished, correct me if I'm mistaken here. Obviously, I want to reiterate again, www.jiggly, and that's spelled, by the way, Jiggley, Jones.com. You are on iTunes, Reverb Nation, SoundCloud.com, and MySpace. You do have a Twitter handle, which is, of course, at Jiggley Jones, and that's all one word, of course. And then on Facebook, you can be found, which is your fan page, which is Jiggley J. Have I missed anything?
Not really. I mean, the music's actually available on not just iTunes, but eMusic, Amazon MP3, a bunch of different places. So, you know, I found that if I just Google search my name, about 50 pages of crap comes up. So, you know, if anybody gets lost on how to find me, you can find me real easy if you just put my name in the search engine of your computer and go for it. There's all kinds of things on there. So.
That is very cool. Oh, my goodness gracious. So before I let you go, I want to say once again a couple of things. First of all, thank you so much to Michael Stover. I am always indebted to him, not only because he is wonderful to work with, but he is truly my friend. And I definitely just adore him. I thank him so much for putting us together. excuse me, and allowing us the opportunity to get to know one another. Now, it's customary on Sim's Chat Corner, which you probably don't know, but I'm going to tell you that at the end of every interview, I take my 30 seconds, as I call it, to tell the person who's been kind enough to let me interview them just exactly what I think of them. So this is my chance to tell you, Jiggley Jones, what my observations are or what they are. So if you were impressed with what I said on Facebook, hopefully this will do the same justice. So we'll see. So this is my 30-second take on you. Jiggley Jones, in my impression, not only first and foremost is he so not scary, which I'm so happy to report, but he just resonates a very down-to-earth country home feel. Extremely intelligent, extremely talented. You are just a modicum of kindness, professionalism. I find you to be refreshing because obviously I've talked to other people in your area, and you carry a style that's all your very own, not just in your presence, but the way you sing. I don't know. I can't put a handle on it, but it's unique in its own right, and I find it to be, like I said, refreshing, energetic. I enjoyed listening to it. It's very calming music, which I like. I see you, amongst all of other Michael's clients, just destined for greatness. I mean, I cross my fingers and I hold my breath, and I know I don't need to because I've been surrounded by another presence of greatness in the last hour. So I thank you for being who you are and bringing your music into my life.
Wow, Cindy, that's the nicest thing anybody's ever said about me.
Why do people always say this on my show?
If I was in Wisconsin right now, I think I'd give you a big hug. So.
Oh, you know, that is so very kind. I can
tell that just from listening to that you prepared, that you're an awesome writer yourself. So
really, that's funny because that last little 30 seconds wasn't written at all. That was off the top of my head.
There you
I
go.
always take that last top of my head thing and say, you know what, you need to hear this. If nothing else, if there's no success down the road, and it's just, you know what, I went out, I had a great time, I gigged. Somebody who interviewed you carries this impression of you, and I will be sorely, sorely upset if after this interview you not only don't come back again, but moreover, you must stay in contact. I am on Facebook, so you should friend me.
Okay.
I'd like to follow your career, and like I said, I want to give you the open invitation, which I do to just about everyone, but I'd love to have you come back, just for nothing else, just to speak to me.
I would love to come back. I look forward to it. And I've actually liked your fan page already, so
look at that.
I did that last night. So.
You're awesome. Absolutely wonderful. And we're following each other on Twitter, so it's destined for greatness here. This is awesome.
Okay.
So I will let you go because I have to prep for my Sons of Anarchy radio show for tomorrow. So I am so glad you did this. Thank you so much. I will post all your information up on Facebook and my write-up shortly after the show.
Okay.
And let's stay in touch.
I will, and I want to say I really appreciate it, Cindy. I do, and it's people like you that really make this rewarding, to be honest with you.
Aww.
So
thank you
I
so
appreciate
much.
you having me, and I'll be glad to come back. So.
Thank you, dear. Well, good luck to you, and I'm crossing my fingers, and I will be in touch shortly once you send me a Facebook request.
Okay.
All right, dear. You have a good evening.
All right, you too. Thanks
a
lot,
take
Cindy.
Care.
All right, you too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, that was my exclusive interview with Jiggley Jones. Absolutely wonderful man. Again, as I mentioned, I will be shortly after the interview posting up all of his information on the Sim's Chat Corner show page, and I will additionally be posting the same set information on my personal page. In case any of you don't know who I am, Cindy, last name M-I-C-H, you can send a friend request. Sins, that's C-I-N''S, Chat Corner has a show page presence on Blog Talk Radio and on Facebook. And my Twitter handle is at SANDB111. So I thank you so much for taking the time and the trouble to listen in. One last bit before I go. Tomorrow, blogtalkradio.com/Sam, S-A-M, Crow, C-R-O, radio. 4 o'clock Central Standard Time, my exclusive interview with actor Lonnie Lasand, which is one of the featured Mayans on the show Sons of Anarchy. Please make it a point to tune in tomorrow. And that's, again, 4 o'clock Central Standard Time, Lonnie Lasand, Sam Crow Radio. You all have yourself a wonderful evening, and I'll be talking to you on Friday.